Hi, my name's Lindy. Welcome to the channel. My website is www.lindycowling.co.uk, email info@lindycowling.co.uk, and the title of this video is Etheric Children. Etheric Children. So this video is brought about really mainly today because this is something that I've come across many times before. This is something that affected me personally, but it was highlighted again yesterday when I was working with a really lovely lady, in a matching consciousness form of lady, and her circumstances, and this came about then and was very prevalent then. What I mean by etheric children is when a couple decides to have a baby, we tend to think of it in linear terms. A normal human being will think of that in linear terms. It's like, we're deciding to have a baby, we're going to try and have a baby, and then there will be conception through the normal mechanical means, the sperm and the egg, and hopefully a baby will be conceived. When we're talking etherically, on etheric levels, if you are open to the idea of that, before that baby is physically conceived, there are, let's say, plans for that, or templates or blueprints or active consciousness in the other dimension or on the other side, or some people call that heaven or wherever, on board with that plan, always were on board with that plan, and are deciding, yes, will come in as consciousness to the form of the baby at a particular stage of the conception. Now, you're probably going to say to me, what stage of the conception does the consciousness come in? To be honest, I can't really answer that because I'm not 100% sure, and as it's an experiential channel, I don't talk about stuff that I've not experienced personally, myself, or professionally. My gut feeling on it is it's much later on in the pregnancy that the actual consciousness comes into situ, towards later on in the pregnancy, not so much in the early days. It doesn't mean to say there's not a connection etherically between the consciousness up here and the embryo or the baby. It means that it comes into situ and anchors, let's call it anchors, a bit later on. The reason I'm going into this like a biology lesson is to explain the etheric side of it. So the consciousness, the child, the baby, not even children, a baby, I mean when a soul is deciding to come in, or an essence is decided to come down into soul form, it works the same way. But for the purposes of this video, it's about etheric children. Now, why I'm going into this is a person can have this etheric consciousness. That etheric consciousness, as in the form of a baby, can come down, but the etheric consciousness is not actually linked to the mother and father, or is maybe linked to the mother but not the father, or is maybe linked to the father not the mother, but has a link consciously with other parties, or another soul family or another soul group, but decides to come in for the experience of the soul and the growth and the expansion into this particular scenario. When you have aspects of connection, like a man and a woman, or women meeting or men meeting, when you have it in a relationship form and they are aware of each other, perhaps astrally or metaphysically or physically in their lives, they can also become aware of an etheric child or children connected to them. So let me try and simplify it so it doesn't get too complicated. So for simplicity, a boy meets girl or a man meets a woman, they feel a profound connection. They suspect that they're probably a profound soul connection. They might be twin flames. They might be matching consciousness. They might be ascensionary soulmates. They might be catalysts. They might be spiritual catalysts. They've met one another. There are strong feelings for one another, perhaps love for one another, all sorts of things. The two that have met, one or both of them happens to be married to other people. Not do they only happen to be married to other people, but they also have children. So both marriages to other people, there are children. And one of the children in the two families, or perhaps one child in each family, is a direct link to the couple that have met. So to simplify it further, the male aspect, for example, has a wife with 3 children, and the youngest child is etherically the daughter of the twin flame and the male, and not the wife and the male. Now, I know this is mind-blowing, and it might challenge a lot of you, because you'd say, well, the mother's given birth to that child. How is that child not theirs? It is theirs in the term of a seed and a sperm, or the egg and the sperm are making biologically and an agreement that that etheric essence or child comes into the earth plane and experiences life with these as mum and dad. But etherically as consciousness, they could come from the same oversoul, God's head, soul family, group essence, mass consciousness, same consciousness as, let's say, the twin flames, or any of the other categories I've just listed. It doesn't have to be twin flames at all. And that essence is of them, but then has come down to experience life in this different scenario. Now, why am I saying this? This is something I've been aware of for years, and actually that happened to me. And with what I name the original awakening through the original male aspect of same soul or twin flame, way back in 2010 for me, the youngest child on his side there, who was only a baby when we met, I used to have dreams of that child, never physically met her, loads of awareness of that child, all through the years that was going on. Only her, not the other children, not the older children. And she was a very different child to the other children because she was of the new template and the others are of the old template. And this was even before I could even articulate it in those days, feeling like, well, why do I feel like that's my baby? It's weird, you know, having not even met her. This was confirmed to me, as well, by a psychic, a medium outside of me who knew both of us and worked with us in an energetic setting many times and knew the whole situation and story many years ago, like I say, back in 2010. And he didn't even know what twin flames were, this guy, the psychic. And he correctly identified loads what was going on there, and identified the daughter, the youngest daughter, as, oh, she's yours, Lindy, yours and the male aspect. Which at that time, I knew that was right, but I couldn't get my head around it or understand how that was possible. Of course, years have gone by now. You know, I'm completely changed. I understand so much more than I did then. This is a phenomena that I have seen over and over again across the world with many different people. So I know it might be challenging because we tend to think of when a mother and father give birth to a child, that is their child. And in some senses, of course, it is, because they've biologically created the vehicle and been the vehicle carrying the child in. So they are mum and dad, of course. But it's looking at this in an expanded way. We all come through as essence and mist and through the ethers and etherically before we come down into a solid vehicle soul form and come through. So we all start off etherically. You know, there's a saying, isn't there, that all, I can't remember exactly what it is, but that children they're like gifted to you. And they're not yours, you kind of borrow them or something like that. I can't remember what it is now. I made a right thing of trying to do that saying, but it's along those lines. It's along the same kind of thing, really. It's looking at it bigger. If I go a little bit bigger on this as well, which is even more mind-blowing than what I've just said, you can be etherically pregnant without having physically conceived. Now that again is even more mind-blowing. So you can etherically and astrally bring in astral or etheric children that remain on the astral or etheric realms for a while, so they're not born here. Now again, why do I know this? I have come across this in clients over the years where they have literally felt like they've had this very long pregnancy and then they've gone through an energetic process and a child has been born in energy but not here on the earth plane. Not only have I come across it in others, but it happened to me, and that happened to me about 2.5 to 3 years ago. I actually walked around feeling totally like I was pregnant. Totally like I was pregnant for 2 years though, 2 whole years, not 9 months. And then went through a process with a friend of mine, an energetic process when the time was right, because I just felt it was right, like, oh, a baby's supposed to be born now, where I went through energetically, not physically, not a phantom pregnancy, but energetically, in an energetic session, this child was born. Now, another aspect of this, I know it's mind-blowing, just bear with me. When a woman on the earth plane, here, a human being, is physically pregnant, if that pregnancy doesn't go to term, so if the child is miscarried or something else happens even before the etheric consciousness or the consciousness comes in to anchor within the baby also goes on over to the other dimension, or what you would call heaven, and continues to grow and expand and live over there. Now, how do I know this? That would be 18 years working as a medium, where I've been able to give that kind of evidence to people. But also, I lost 2 children very early on, miscarriages. I truly feel they were girls and not boys. I have 2 sons that are, grown and well. In between those 2, so in between the oldest son and the youngest son, I miscarried twice, a year to the day apart on both of them. And that was confirmed to me in the years that followed that by multiple different mediums, some of who didn't know me at all, who would just say, oh no, not 2 babies, you have 4 babies, not 2, you have 4, and describing the little girls. So it's really fascinating to me, and I know that these things are possible. So that it's all happening in the other realms of existence and in the other dimensions and etherically. So everything I'm saying here is interlinked, and I know some of it might be mind-blowing, some of it might be uncomfortable to hear, or some of you might find it comforting to hear. The more you go through your process and the more you know, the more you realize anything is possible. I mean, extraordinary things are possible. You know, you're always learning, you're always expanding, you're always growing as you go along, and as your perception and your perspective expands and grows, so does your whole concept of so-called reality and what is possible within it, which there are infinite possibilities. So the last thing I would say is, you would probably ask me, why would an etheric child then be born to a man and a wife, and the wife isn't a twin flame or a soulmate or a soul connection or matching consciousness or a catalyst? Why would they be born if the male twin flame's here and the female twin flame's over here? What is the point of an etheric child being born, coming into physical reality? So they were there, but coming into physical reality, because like I say, you can have etheric children in the other realities that aren't coming down onto the earth plane. They might not be coming down yet, or they might not come down. They might be having their existence in another plane of existence. But the ones that are here physically, what is the point of that? And it's not really a question of what is the point of it. They are a fully conscious template of authentic, true consciousness, or I call it the new energy only because that's my way of describing it, because it's a squeaky clean, non-contaminated, non-karma, non-heavy baggage on it, squeaky clean, fully self-aware and conscious. I call it the new energy, the new template, simply because it's my only way. I can only use the human words I have to describe it. And that's why, because that is going to become normal. That's clean, squeaky clean, authentic, conscious energy in the next so many years will become normal. And we won't be saying new template, old template. It'll all be coming from the same kind of expression from there. But at the moment, it's the only way of describing it. And that will become more and more commonplace. And of course, the more people you have within family units that are singing from the same hymn sheet, so to speak, so the more fully conscious ones you have in there, authentic ones, or that new template, new relationship paradigm that you have within families, of course, it enables the family members and relatives to imprint on that template of consciousness so that they become conscious themselves. And so it goes on, like dominoes knocking onto dominoes. Anyway, on that note, I'm going to love you and leave you. I don't want to go on too long. Hope you found that interesting. As always, thanks for watching this as the channel. Thanks for watching me and supporting me as that channel in all the ways that you do. Take care. Loads of love. See you again soon. Bye.